Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you joined me again today for another Practicing Presence. Just for context, whenever my friend and I get together to pray, I may have mentioned this before, one of us kind of ushers us in with prayer. After we've had a chance to just talk and visit about the things that are on our own hearts, and we're ready to just get still and get quiet before the Lord and ask Him what He desires to show us or teach us that day or speak to us, one of us will just go into prayer and then we put our phones on silent. So when I received this particular vision, my friend was the one that was actually praying, and she hadn't even finished praying when I began to get this image. One of the things that she prayed was just how grateful we are to know that He holds all things. And when she prayed that, I got an image of a graphic that I actually have for my Genesis coaching program that I have on my website. I'm hoping to be able to put that graphic here so that you are able to see it now and can see what I saw. I'm kind of new to all this technology. So if I'm unable to do that, you can go look at that graphic by going to my website, which if you click the little down arrow to the right of the title, will pop up a description box right below this video. And there's a link to my website. And from the website, if you go to one-on-one coaching programs, and you scroll through the coaching programs all the way to the bottom, you'll see the Genesis coaching program. So you can see the visual that I saw, that I sat with and waited for the Lord to speak to me about it. So as I had this image in front of me, I'm like, okay, did that just come to my mind because of what she said in her prayer, or is that something you actually want to speak to me about? And I just sat there with it, and I kept seeing that in my mind's eye. So I went to my website and pulled up the image and looked at it and just sat there. And what he began to explain to me and give me understanding around is that, yes, He holds not just all of the world, right? But, the universe, everything, like He holds it. And the impression was, just think of every grain of sand, everything that He holds. Like, it's a lot. But then just this sense that He constrains it. His hands constrain it in order for it to be formed and shaped and molded into a world. His hands constrain it in order to hold it. And then it's like I was drawn into almost this molecular level awareness. And I saw these different molecules at different states of being, if you will. And there were just these, I'll just call them these chill molecules that were in this place of absolute rest, and you could just tell they were not very agitated. They were just restful and peaceful. And there weren't very many of those. I think this speaks to kind of the chaotic times we're in right now. And then you'd have these other molecules that were just like bouncing all over the place. You could just see this incredible activity and agitation. And I'm like, well, they're busy. But I felt like the agitation was because of the constraint. Like there was an agitation around His hands that were constraining things in order for things to have order and to be molded and formed and shaped. And then there were varying degrees of molecular activity. So those that were more at rest and less agitated, the ones that were agitated would kind of like bounce up against them, and you could tell that they were trying to get them agitated. They were trying to get the ones that were at rest agitated, but they would just become more and more restful. And so depending on the degree of agitation that was in a molecule, the ones that were at high levels of agitation would be more successful in generating agitation in those molecules than ones that were more on the restful side. The more they were on the restful side, the more they went into rest, the more they went into a place of peace. And so I just thought it was such, gosh, such an image of the unseen realm, the spiritual realm, the reality, if you will, the truth and reality of how things work in that unseen spiritual realm, just the level of agitation that goes on. And, we always hear that phrase, misery loves company. Sad but true. And so when you're at a place of agitation, the objective is to get everybody else agitated, I guess, and or to get things stirred. And but my sense is that the agitation was against the restraints of his hands, and yet it's his hands that are holding all things together out of love, and creating order and form and shape. And oh my gosh, if it, like, literally, if he were to remove his hands, it would all evaporate. It would all, like, it wouldn't even be held together anymore. And yet we can, at times, me included, can have frustrations and agitations and almost resistance to the constraints. So that's what I saw. It was, I think it's, again, so many of the visions he gives me can have a micro level application for my life, for your life, like individually, but also kind of just this macro understanding of how things operate in the kingdom, how things operate in the spiritual world, how things operate in our own hearts and souls, in our own internal agitations, and a greater awareness, and even that question, like, why am I agitated? What am I agitated about? Am I frustrated with constraints that you've put in place? What is that? And just taking that to him. So I'm glad you joined me again today. And just a reminder that if you want to check the description box below, the little down arrow next to the title will open the description box, and you'll find a link to my website, and you can check out some of those other resources. But I'm glad you were here today. I hope you come back for another Practicing Presence or a Fireside Chat or any of the other things that you can find on this channel. I'll see you next time.